One day, a gate leading to another world suddenly appeared across Earth. This event brought frightening underworld creatures that were immune to regular guns and bombs. A gate leading to another world suddenly appeared across Earth. People found out that these underworld creatures were immune to guns and bombs. A long time ago, a gate to another world suddenly appeared on Earth. Creatures from that world, immune to normal weapons, started causing trouble. A ticking clock with a red, intense background showed the time counting down with 3 stars underneath. The countdown reached 0 in a flash of red light and distortion. A giant underworld creature with glowing green eyes roared in pain as something struck it hard in a flash of red. This creature, known as the Guardian, looked like it was about to be defeated. The sight of the monstrous underworld creature's mouth filled everyone with dread. Below the chaos, the ruined city showed the destruction that had taken place. A giant, muscular underworld creature roared menacingly over a pile of fallen people. The scene was filled with smoke and the remnants of a terrible fight. Monsters came out of the gate, and they were found to be immune to guns and bombs. A giant creature with glowing eyes and blue aura was seen in the sky, surrounded by falling debris, possibly from an airplane. This creature looked very powerful and menacing as it descended. The monstrous underworld creature loomed over the terrified people in the city streets. Its massive, plant-like body pulsed with an eerie pink glow as it roared above the buildings. The underworld creatures were causing great destruction and fire. People saw a player arriving to help them fight this huge monster. A giant, 3-headed wolf creature with glowing eyes rushed down the street toward a bright, glowing rectangle on the ground that showed 3 stars. This underworld creature was charging right at the spot where a player was about to appear. A bright, glowing gate with stars appeared on the street, looking like a portal to another place. A red, fiery shape seemed to be rising up from below it as this happened. Against the giant underworld creature, people watched as Subaru fought bravely. They remembered how he always shed his blood to protect them. It all started when someone passed through the glowing door of trials. This event marked the beginning of days filled with new, life-threatening situations for everyone involved. Subaru stood there with a bright yellow light surrounding him, placing a hand over his chest in a respectful gesture. People commented that he was so cool and popular, even though not long ago he was treated like an insect. A person descends surrounded by a bright, golden light, and the text announces them as the chosen one. This moment marks the arrival of a significant figure in this new world. A close-up shows a character's intense yellow eye surrounded by glowing particles. Below this, a brilliant yellow light erupts from the ground, suggesting a powerful impact or sudden surge of energy. A bright, golden light explodes upward as someone swings a weapon with great force. This sudden burst of light seems to signify a powerful moment of action or attack. The world's fate was placed in the hands of these players, and they became hope for everyone. Unfortunately, the players failed their quest against the underworld creatures. A massive, bright yellow light erupted, shining around the legs and claws of a giant creature. This intense energy blast seemed to be the result of a powerful attack hitting the underworld creature. A dazzling, golden light enveloped the man who knelt down amidst the destruction. His face, now visible in a bright blue glow, showed a determined expression. These dangerous creatures were found to be immune to normal weapons like guns and bombs. People were relieved for a time when some individuals started passing through the door of trials. The people looked up at the powerful figures who seemed ready to fight. They were thankful to Mr. Subaru, who was called a savior by the crowd. One after another, the players defeated all of the underworld creatures. When the gate appeared, people felt relief but were scared at the same time. The world now faced new life-threatening challenges that began after passing through that strange door. Everyone looked up at the sky where a large glowing timer showed day 53 with the time counting down. This marked the ongoing time since the gate appeared and brought the challenges the world now faced. A timer exactly like the one for the gate had appeared again. Humanity sensed that when this new timer reached 0, it would mean the end of the world. The world felt a great change coming as a countdown timer on the screen showed only 1 second left. Soon after, the fate of the world was entrusted to the players who became heroes to everyone. The world waited anxiously for the countdown timer to reach 0. As the bright, cracking screen displayed day 00 and the time 0000, the fate of everyone hung in the balance. The sky burned with an orange red color as sharp, bright shards seemed to break apart around the message that the world would end. This terrifying sight hinted at the massive danger that had appeared across the earth. A group of important-looking people stood together, and one of them spoke to reassure others. They told everyone to rest assured about the situation. The people of Sky Clock declared that they would be the ones to put an end to the situation. This relief was short-lived as they remembered how Subaru was treated before. The fate of the world was put into the hands of the players. These heroes were admired by everybody. The story reached a dramatic point, emphasized by a large, sudden sound of screaming. This moment marked the continuation of the unfolding events. The enormous underworld creature glared with intense yellow eyes as a voice announced its presence. This monster was one of the threats that the players were trying to stop. A monstrous creature roared that the players had failed their quest. Panic quickly erupted as a terrified sound followed the announcement. There was a huge impact as the powerful energy struck the massive underworld creature. The people cheered loudly because the player named Subaru was fighting on their behalf. A giant monster shone brightly as it loomed over the city buildings. People below looked up in sheer terror, screaming for someone to help them. A giant, terrifying underworld creature lets out a massive roar as it unleashes a blast of fire. The intensity of the sound and heat seems to shake the very air around it. A great light shines down as a figure in a hood stands looking over the railing. This moment seems to signal the beginning of something important, as the words "I am" appear at the bottom. Subaru announced that he was one of the players. His power seemed to come from the mysterious rainbow door. A person named Subaru, glowing with colorful energy, said a simple greeting to others. People were relieved to see a player arrive to help them with the huge underworld creature. The powerful player, Subaru, calmly stated that enough was enough. His eyes shone with a distinct light, showing his special nature among the other players. A sharp, powerful strike flashes with vibrant red energy, connecting with someone in a moment of intense action. The sound effect suggests a forceful impact tearing through the air. When the situation looked hopeless, the people cried out that a player had arrived to help them. They were relieved to see Subaru approaching the danger. Someone recognized the figure who had arrived to help, calling out the name Subaru. The people looked on with mixed expressions of relief and slight shock at the appearance of this player. People cheered, recognizing the player as Subaru, exclaiming that they had been saved. For him, the thing that made him different from other players was not about getting better ranks like copper, silver, or gold. Instead, it was being the only player who gained power from the rainbow door. The one thing that made this player special was not the usual ranks of copper, silver, or gold. It was the unique power gained from the rainbow door. The player explained that what made him different from others was not common ranks like copper or gold, but gaining power from the rainbow door. This ability set him apart from every other player. The hero, Subaru, looked determined, his eyes glowing with strange colors amidst a dramatic burst of red energy. He felt that what truly made him special was gaining power from the rainbow door, not ordinary wealth. A figure is shown descending, surrounded by bright, colorful light particles near a metal railing. It seems this person is making a grand entrance or completing some action with a magical effect. An older woman cried out with joy, surrounded by other happy faces. She said that Subaru always gave his all, shedding blood and fighting bravely for their lives. A foot stepped down with force, and a blue energy effect pulsed around it. Below, a dark background showed streaks of red light appearing near the bottom. A brilliant, sharp red energy slashed across the dark background with intense force. This powerful strike was accompanied by large, stylized characters indicating a massive impact. Bright red energy slashes cut across the dark figure, which seems to be a huge, scaled monster. These powerful attacks suggest a fierce battle is raging against a massive underworld creature. There was a huge underworld creature fighting with the player known as Subaru. The intensity of the fight was shown with bright red and blue energy streaks slashing across the dark background. A huge blast of red energy slashed through a background filled with bright, colorful light and falling particles. This powerful action seemed to signify the climax of a fierce fight. The player named Subaru unleashed a powerful attack, glowing with intense red and purple energy against the dark background. This impressive display showed his unique strength as he fought the massive underworld creature. The man named Subaru looked determined as powerful energy erupted around him amidst the city buildings. This powerful event seemed to herald the return of the players who were meant to save the world. The hero, Subaru, stood tall among the city buildings, glowing with power. The people watched him with awe after he saved them from the huge underworld creature. The people stared in shock at the huge underworld creature, wondering if it could kill someone instantly. They expressed fear about the massive monster they were facing. The crowd cheered loudly, calling the man amazing as he stood before them. This hero, Mr. Subaru, was clearly very popular with everyone now. People cheered that the expected savior, Subaru, had done well. Subaru just let out a long sigh after all the fighting was done. A young man with glowing eyes looks seriously towards something unseen while calling out to his mom. He seems to be in the middle of a very important moment or realization. A young boy excitedly pointed toward the hero, proclaiming that guy was so cool. The hero, Subaru, looked down with a slight, unreadable expression. Subaru smiled gently, feeling a warmth spread across his face. He seemed pleased despite the recent struggles. A hidden narrator comments that the person's smile is the most precious thing. Then, a hand makes a gesture that causes a red energy streak to appear in the dark blue background. The players had a mission to close the gate and save the world from the constant threats. People thanked Mr. Subaru for his great job and called him Mr. Savior, which made him feel a little awkward. The hero, Mr. Subaru, smiles brightly as he seems to fall from a tall building, reaching out toward the people below. Below him, a colorful, bright light starts to appear, suggesting something significant is about to happen. The players took on the duty of protecting humankind. With colorful power shining in his eyes, one player stood out as the protector of everyone. The act of closing the gate was being shown with a close-up on a person's determined eyes and a colorful light below. A character with rainbow-colored hair reached up toward this bright, glowing source. This hero kept fighting and getting stronger through this process. The whole world started to look to this one player for survival. The woman knelt down as someone approached, their boots showing a striking red sole. Then, a figure, who people called Mr. Savior, walked onto a balcony, appearing as if he had just finished a battle. The group of figures in white cloaks gathered, stating they must complete their task to prevent the world from falling apart. One of them remarked that the Savior, Mr. Subaru, did a great job and seemed very popular now. Someone tells Mr. Subaru that he did a great job. Another person notes that Mr. Savior is very popular now. Someone observes that Mr. Savior seems to be very popular now. This is a change from not too long ago when he was treated like a bug. Other people told Subaru that he was very popular and doing a great job as their savior. Subaru quickly told them to please stop saying those things. The man named Subaru smiles a little awkwardly, remembering how people treated him not long ago. He reflects that before all this, he was treated like nothing more than an insect. The world was in danger when a gate to another world appeared, bringing creatures immune to normal weapons. Everyone felt the coming doom, but the fate of the world was given to the players who passed through the door of trials. A man with bruised and bloody features, wearing glasses and an eye patch, slowly peeked out. He looked tired but resolute after a tough battle. The character looked out, saying, "Well then," as if preparing for something important. This moment seemed to mark a shift in the ongoing struggle against the underworld creatures. A figure tells everyone that they must all survive this together amidst a fiery background. It is remembered that all of this hardship started the moment someone passed through that strange door. Days full of new, life-threatening situations all started when someone passed through that door. These were days filled with many new life-threatening situations. Everything began after the man passed through that door of trials. It all started when this person passed through that very strange, colorful door. This moment marked the beginning of everything that followed. A close-up on a determined and intense eye shows that something very important is happening right now, in front of the person. A person stands before a brightly colored, rainbow-like door, which has 5 stars above a keyhole, suggesting a significant opportunity. This door, which has the power to change a life, is presented to the person who reacts with the distressed sound. The character is clearly in pain, letting out small sounds, while their hand reaches out and grabs a glowing yellow key or item near the door. Someone yells out that the guy is trying to get through the door. 2 men are angry. One is holding the glowing object and shouts aggressively, telling the other not to mess with him. A sudden, dramatic splash of red blood appears, accompanied by a command to kill him. The door appears for the second time, and the character is shown in extreme duress, surrounded by fiery effects. Despite being hurt and bleeding, the character manages to crawl toward the shimmering door. The character screams in pain and rage, making a firm internal promise that they will not make the same mistake again. A close-up of the character's face shows fierce determination mixed with agony as the battle continues. The character reaches for the now intensely bright door, declaring that this time, the door will be theirs. The character is forcefully pushed away from the door, and an internal thought calls the attacker a damn insect before something violently hits them. With intense resolve, the character thinks that even if they die, they will not give up what they desire. The scene darkens as the character resolves to reclaim everything that was supposed to be theirs. The focus shifts to a news broadcast happening today at the stadium. The brothers, Ariake Subaru 15 and Ariake Taiga 13, are watching a TV report featuring Gold player Hirosaka Renji. The TV shows Gold player Hirosaka Renji looking very confident and cool. The younger brother, Subaru, is thrilled and excited by Hirosaka Renji, calling him cool, while his age is noted. The older brother, Taiga, is unimpressed and tells Subaru to be quiet, clearly annoyed by his excitement. Taiga coldly tells Subaru that since they are not blood-related, Subaru should stop acting like a big brother to him. Subaru, looking downcast, brings up the serious release incident of the Gate of Another World from the previous day to Hirosaka Renji on TV. The TV explains that the gate opened because time ran out in a vacant mansion, leading to a catastrophe with 16 casualties from unleashed creatures. Hirosaka confirms the report, and the conversation continues, mentioning that creatures from the underworld are sealed in these gates and are immune to normal weapons. The gate shows a timer counting down, which indicates when the gate will open if not dealt with. When the countdown hits 0, a vicious creature is unleashed, but Hirosaka explains there is only one way to stop it. Hirosaka explains that players, chosen by the Door of Trials, must enter the gate and defeat the creature before time runs out. He then urges the public to report any gate sightings immediately so players can protect them. The interviewer praises Hirosaka for defeating the creatures, though he humbly admits his failure to prevent the initial release. The scene then flashes back to Hirosaka standing victorious over a huge monster. The crowd praises Hirosaka, saying there would have been more sacrifices without him, and Hirosaka expresses regret over the sacrifices made despite his victory. The interviewer notes that all people see players as heroes, and Hirosaka reiterates the call for public reporting to prevent future tragedies. Hirosaka declares that players will protect everyone from the underworld creatures. Hirosaka stares intensely with glowing eyes, emphasizing that they will protect people even by risking their own lives. Subaru is completely in awe, calling players heroes and so cool. The narration shifts, noting that the Gate of Another World suddenly appeared everywhere 5 years ago, plunging people into despair. People were helpless against the creatures immune to military weapons, and the only hope came from the Chosen Ones. These Chosen Ones, called players, passed through the Door of Trials that appeared simultaneously with the gates. The door comes in gold, silver, and copper ranks, with gold players having the best fighting powers. The image displays the ranking difference, copper weakest to gold strongest based on the stars displayed on their respective doors. Gold players receive great status, honor from subjugation, and huge rewards, becoming admired by all mankind, as shown by Hirosaka standing on money. The interviewer asks Hirosaka about the selection criteria, and Hirosaka says they were taught the brilliance of the soul chooses the strong ones inside the Door of Trials. Taiga scoffs at the idea of brilliance of the soul watching the TV interview and claims it has nothing to do with the guy on screen. Taiga challenges Subaru, asking if he thinks he has any such brilliance, as this was the first door in front of Subaru. Subaru is shocked, looking at the golden door, realizing that if he enters, he might also gain power, but Taiga suddenly kicks him. Taiga is shown kicking Subaru away from the golden door. Subaru, hitting the ground, realizes this was the first Door of Trials he ever saw. He recognizes it as the Golden Door of Trials and thinks that if he goes in, he can also gain power, looking towards Hirosaka on the screen. Subaru reaches out toward the golden door, desperate to claim it. A hand grabs the golden key near the door. Taiga violently attacks Subaru, kicking him away from the door. Subaru is thrown back, and Taiga smiles smugly, while Subaru can only manage a confused sound. Subaru is confused as Taiga approaches the golden door. Taiga apologizes to Subaru with a sinister look, saying he'll be taking the door. As Taiga enters the door, Subaru screams a curse, and then the scene shifts to a title card indicating the start of Chapter 1, 3 years later. Subaru is shown reaching for the golden door one last time as it seems to be closing or being taken. This crop shows the official title card for the series, Savior of Divine Blood. Draw out 0.000000001% to become the strongest. Chapter 1. 3 years pass, and the scene shows an overview of a modern city structure. The view zooms in slightly on the building complex, with structures looking like barracks or dorms. The view continues to focus on the architectural details of the building. A very thin and weak Ariake Subaru, 18 years old, is shown tied spread-eagled against a wall covered in a spiderweb-like substance. Subaru grits his teeth in pain as something rushes at him, possibly an attack. Subaru lets out a groan while still restrained, suggesting he is being attacked or tortured. 3 copper rank players are jeering, scoring points for hitting Subaru's legs and asking about hitting his head. Subaru's hand is shown reaching out weakly. The copper players mockingly score 10 points for the head hit, and Subaru lets out a whimper of distress. One of the bullies mocks Subaru's small brother, Tega, for saying dodge well, pointing out that Tega used his skill to tie Subaru up. One of the bullies excitedly prepares to attack Subaru, saying, "Here I go." The bullies wonder if Subaru is being bullied again, and Subaru weakly responds with "ah." The tallest bully, Tega, is shown with a woman, and Subaru refers to him as Sir. Tega has menacing eyes, and the narration reflects on that day. Tega survived the golden door that he stole from Subaru. The scene shows Tega, glowing with golden energy, standing over a defeated Subaru next to the now closed golden door. Tega is shown with glowing eyes and a triumphant smirk, having become Japan's youngest gold player. Tega, now looking down with contempt, calls Subaru a damn insect. The copper players mock Subaru for being so pathetic that he gets bullied by 3 copper ranks, and Tega states being his little brother makes him want to vomit. Tega expresses relief that they are not blood-related and then demands something from Subaru. Someone's hand, adorned with golden bracelets, clenches something, and then a golden energy erupts from a hand, accompanied by sound effects. The word skill is emphasized, focusing on a powerful golden energy release. The powerful golden energy explodes outward, shaking the surrounding buildings. The copper players are blown back by the force, and Subaru is struck by a powerful blow. The attacker, one of the copper players, uses a move called Golden Arm, showing intense strength. The other copper players are shocked, recognizing the move as something that could rival Hirosaka Renji's Golden Sword. The Golden Arm attack continues with massive force. The energy blast is overwhelmingly bright. The golden energy fades slightly, showing the golden key item tumbling away. A powerful, bloody slash hits someone, causing intense damage. Subaru, tied up against a web-like structure, looks up at a shining light in the sky, and someone whispers shine. A bright light flashes intensely in the blue sky, causing ripples of energy. The bullies are shocked, exclaiming that the gold player made the clouds disappear, thinking gold ranks are crazy powerful. The focus shifts to Subaru's shorts, which show signs of him having wet himself from fear. One bully exclaims, "You!" A bully points out that Subaru is leaking and is gross. Tega smirks and tells the others they can do whatever they want to Subaru. Tega, with the woman clinging to him, tells the others they can kill Subaru. The copper players look on, seemingly approving or anticipating the violence. One of the copper players says, "Well then, preparing for action." 2 bystanders notice the situation, one snapping a picture and commenting that it's the bullied kid getting beaten up by players again. The severely beaten Subaru is shown lying amidst his scattered clothes. The bystanders comment on how lame Subaru is compared to his younger brother and suggest he should kill himself. Subaru is seen curled up, looking utterly broken. The scene shifts to nighttime outside, with a focus on the building where Subaru lies. A news report states that gates opened in 3 cities, one of which was destroyed, but gold player Tega succeeded in destroying 4 gates. Tega is shown being celebrated as Japan's MVP. The celebration involves popping a champagne bottle with great fanfare. Tega's adoptive family toasts him at dinner, praising him as a good son for supporting them even as a student. Tega's adoptive mother expresses pride in giving birth to him, contrasting him with the useless kid from the woman his father used to be with. The father figure scoffs, calling the other child a HMPH. The father figure looks stressed, muttering about how Subaru is a hell of a failure. The scene shows a luxurious view of the house from above, contrasting with Subaru in his small room, studying at his desk. Subaru realizes his water is empty, and in the next shot, Tega is seen drinking from a bottle, looking smug. Tega waves a small amount of money, saying it can't be helped, implying he won't give Subaru money. Tega yells at Subaru to buy water and not the wrong brand, while Subaru, looking shocked, mutters, "What?" Tega tells Subaru he's out of water and must go buy some, reminding him not to get the wrong brand. Subaru protests that he is still studying, but Tega dismisses him, saying studying is useless because Subaru will be his pet forever. Tega dismisses Subaru's confusion about the time frame, emphasizing that forever means forever, while holding the money condescendingly. Tega tells Subaru not to think he can ever escape his bug cage. Subaru clenches his fist, crumpled money in hand, refusing to accept this fate. Subaru questions what forever means, as he's carrying several bottles of water. He walks alone at night, wondering how long Tega expects him to live like this, thinking, forever means forever, you know. Tega's intense gaze is shown, questioning if Subaru is serious about expecting freedom even after many years. Subaru is shown suffering in his small living space, enduring the heat and cold while being called useless by his parents. He recalls the suffering of being abused and then thinks about how he wishes he could start life over. He remembers the golden door and vows that if he could restart, he wouldn't give it to anyone. Subaru is in utter despair over his life, thinking it's better to just die, as he sees the bull is approaching. The lead bully greets Subaru mockingly as a little insect, and Subaru realizes it's a coincidence that they met, but he's out of luck. The bullies mention they are tired from destroying a gate and point out one of them has scars from the underworld creatures. They suggest Subaru be their stress reliever and take his permission makes it okay to torture and kill the damn insect. Subaru tries to run but is immediately caught and attacked by the bullies. Subaru screams in pain as he is attacked, noting that he got slashed and wonders if they plan to kill him. He refuses the idea of dying, remembering that moments ago he thought death was better than this life. As the bull is close in, Subaru desperately clings to life, finding his situation pitiful and miserable. Subaru is brutally beaten by the copper rank players. He realizes he is being viciously attacked and screams, "Oh, this is a good place." Subaru is left lying on the ground, severely injured, as the bullies stand over him. He weakly cries out for them to stop, but they are determined to finish him off. As the blood splatters, the scene focuses on the moment of impact from the bullies' attacks. One of the bullies attacks Subaru with a sword, and another kicks him while he's down. Subaru is badly wounded, and the bullies comment on how messy he is. One bully suggests it's enough and they should just kill him, while another prepares a special skill. The special skill, Red Rose, is about to be used on the defenseless Subaru. Subaru weakly begs for help. The attacker yells, "Here ya go!" Pest controls finish, unleashing the attack. Suddenly, something interrupts the attack, causing the bullies to stop in confusion. The attackers look up, surprised, as another powerful energy, possibly a clash of skills, happens near Subaru. The copper ranks look shocked as they realize something is happening on the ground near Subaru. The energy is described as a special skill, and a powerful golden burst is shown. The energy is so intense that it seems to affect the gate that appeared earlier. Subaru looks up at the rainbow-colored door, recognizing it as a rainbow door, which he knows is higher than gold. The bullies recognize the rainbow door and panic, shouting that the door appeared a second time. Subaru, regaining some composure, declares he cannot repeat his past mistake and this door will be his. He reaches out for the key while the bullies react with fear and anger. Subaru focuses on the door, resolved to take back what he lost, including strength, status, honor, and money. The final image of the flashback shows Subaru reaching for the door, ready for his story to finally begin. The scene shifts back to the present moment, where a blue, glitching door appears and a message welcomes Mr. Ariake Subaru. The blue door signifies the trial of the rainbow, which is about to start. A monstrous, glitching figure with sharp teeth looms over the battered Subaru. The final shot shows Subaru's face, heavily injured, as the narration proclaims, "From this day on, my story will begin." Something very intense is happening with bright, falling lines and a strong orange-red background. The situation resolves slightly, showing a figure lying on the ground with blood around them, and another figure bending over. A hand reaches out toward the fallen figure and colorful, glowing particles are shown near the head. The person on the ground is suddenly enveloped in bright, crackling energy, and a system message appears saying the system is updating. The system continues to update, showing that the damaged body is being repaired and nearsightedness has been removed, while a timer counts down the seconds until the legs are restored. The focus shifts from the body repair to the internal workings, showing a glowing red heart and lungs being revived. A close-up shows a wide-open eye, suggesting a sudden awakening or shock. The main character gasps loudly, now on his hands and knees, looking ragged. A tight shot on the character's shocked eyes emphasizes his surprise. The character stares face to face with the glitched, monstrous figure, letting out a loud cry. The character flails backward in panic while the glitchy creature stands over him. The character is sitting in a desolate, snowy area, looking towards a distant door, realizing something important. He remembers entering the rainbow door and wonders if he is inside the domain of the door's owner. He realizes that the monstrous figure sitting on the throne is the owner of his door. Meanwhile, in another location, someone asks Mr. Hirasaka what is happening inside the door. Mr. Hirasaka calmly explains that in his case, the inside looked like a golden medieval castle. He clarifies that it is likely the dwelling place of the door's owner, and one must be acknowledged by them to become a player. Mr. Hirasaka shows a picture of his owner, a golden knight in shining armor in a grand hall. He states that to pass the trial, one needs to be acknowledged by this ruler. Back in the trial space, the main character realizes he is not in a building but facing the owner right in front of him. He confirms that the creature on the throne is the owner of the rainbow door he just passed through. He wonders what the trial actually was, staring down as the owner sits there silently. Mr. Hirasaka continues explaining that the owner of his door was a golden knight. He was acknowledged by fighting a sword battle against the knight. As a result, he received some of the knight's power. He demonstrates this power by summoning a glowing golden sword. The aim of the trial, he explains, is to hit the owner. The main character realizes with dread that he has to hit the creature that looks exactly like a monster. He kneels, facing the rainbow-bleached creature on the throne, who seems nonplussed. The creature speaks with a dark aura, calling him an insect. The character is stunned, shouting out in surprise that the creature talked. The creature asks how long the character plans to stay frozen, pointing out his body should have healed, and mocks if his brain is broken. The character nervously assures the creature that he is probably all right. He is bewildered that they are having a conversation, but the creature tells him to hurry up and come at him, stating that if he can hit him in one shot, he will give him power. The character panics, asking for a second, but the creature dismisses him, saying that's the trial and to hurry up, or find another door and go home if he's too scared. The character yells, asking who the creature is, but the creature just responds with a dismissive ha. The character mentions the 3 types of doors: gold, silver, and copper, and says he has never seen a rainbow one, while the creature's dark aura replies, who the hell cares about that? The creature shows its massive, sharp teeth as the character is overwhelmed by fear. The character lets out a terrified shriek as the powerful energy of the trial flares up around him. A massive blast of orange and yellow energy surges outward. The character is sent flying back from the impact of the energy. The character reels from the shockwave, looking back at the rainbow symbol that seems to be the source of the power. He kneels, realizing it's impossible to hit the creature who is sitting calmly on the throne. The creature motions for him to stop being lazy and hurry up, and then says if he can't hit him, he should find another door and go home. The creature adds that it wants to finish this quickly so it can go to sleep, as the character grits his teeth in frustration. The character stammers, acknowledging the situation, but then sinks down, feeling weak. He admits his legs are shaking and he can't stand up, while the creature's dark voice mocks him. The creature thinks to itself, wondering why this weak person was chosen, but then decides it can't be helped. The creature extends a hand toward the character, and the character is pushed back. A red, sword-like weapon appears near the kneeling character. The character cries out in fear again. He looks up as numerous red, sharp, weapon-like objects surround him. Both the character and the creature scream as the energy builds up intensely around them. The character whispers amidst the barrage of red shapes. Surrounded by the red spikes, the character murmurs, "Eek," as the creature tells him to use those weapons if he is afraid, or just go home. The creature continues to mock him, suggesting he go back to his old life. The character looks at the rainbow door, grasping his head in distress, torn between fighting or leaving. He contemplates fighting the monster or going back to his normal life. He struggles to move, looking at the rainbow door again, thinking about his normal life. He forces himself up, looking determinedly at the 3-star mark on the rainbow door. The character shakes with effort as he tries to stand up. Creature softly speaks, asking if the character is for real. The creature says it is a maze, reminding the character that he opened the door because he wanted power. The character reacts with shock, confirming that he wanted power. He responds that he is scared, which surprises the creature. The creature tells him he doesn't get it, referring to everyone waiting for power. The creature calls him a damn insect and taunts him about spending the rest of his life crawling miserably. The creature scoffs and the character clenches his hand, ready to fight. The creature calls him a damn insect again, then focuses on the character approaching the rainbow door. The character stands near the door, silent for a moment. Then the creature says, "Damn insect." The creature repeats the insult, "Damn insect," and then says, "Hey, damn insect." The creature stares down the character, and then other figures also call him a damn insect. The main character looks around in terror at a multitude of glowing red eyes surrounding him. The creature on the throne says, "Well, whatever," seeming indifferent to the situation. The creature tells him to just spend the rest of his life crawling miserably on his hands and knees. As the character looks up in despair, the character looks up, but the creature insists that it can't be helped. The character confronts an older man, who tells him he has to take responsibility for his own choices. A close-up shows the older man's weary expression. The character clenches his fist, preparing for an attack, while the creature watches from its throne. The scene cuts to the creature smirking slightly. The character yells out in confusion and shock. The character stumbles back from the rainbow door, reacting with strong confusion about what is happening. He shouts at everyone, accusing them of being arrogant about their power. The character is on the verge of tears, calling them out for their arrogance regarding power. He confronts the creature, asking if it thinks it's okay to do anything just because they have power, and if it's okay to call people insects. The creature laughs and then roars back that of course it's okay, calling the character a moron. The creature's teeth are bared in a savage grin as it shouts. The character screams back, telling the creature not to mess with him, then remembers a painful past where he was treated badly. He recalls being physically hurt and feeling pain when people did not treat him like a human being. He cries out, questioning why no one can understand him, as the vertical lines intensify the drama. The character screams at the top of his lungs, arms outstretched in desperation. The creature bursts into manic laughter, while its face is a mess of rainbow glitches. The creature mocks that the damn insect got pissed off. The character screams, telling the monster to shut up. He calls the creature a monster as he prepares to move. The creature tells him to hurry up and give him the power. The character lunges forward, demanding the creature's damn power with a fierce expression. The creature smirks as the character's fist connects with its face. The impact of the punch is shown, with the creature reeling back from the blow. The character reels back in surprise, realizing something unexpected happened. He focuses on his fist, which pulsed with energy upon impact. He wonders if he actually landed one hit, questioning if he succeeded. The character stands over the creature, which appears to have been hit hard, maybe even decapitated, as red energy flashes. The creature's voice praises him, saying he passed the trial because there was extreme hatred flowing from his fists. The creature grabs the character in a surprise hug, startling him, and proclaims that he passed after all. The creature seems to be transferring something to the character, indicated by the sharp sound effects. The creature declares, "You passed," right before it seems to dissolve or collapse onto the character. The character cries out in pain and confusion as the process happens. The character is engulfed in intense red energy while being held by the now dissolving figure. He screams in agony as the red energy surrounds him completely. He questions if the creature is ending him, thinking it's different from what it promised. The character braces himself as red energy explodes around him, preparing for an attack. He shouts that if the creature is going to do that, he will take the power himself. The creature laughs, finding the situation very interesting, and offers some extra service. A colorful, abstract visual appears with red text offering extra service. The character looks confused, then the scene shifts to a massive clash of colorful energy. The character and the creature are locked in a struggle, both emitting colorful, glitchy energy. The character groans in pain as the exchange continues. A flurry of red and black energy dissipates. A system notification declares the trial is over and Subaru has become a player at level 1. Another system message states the body is being reconfigured as a player, while the creature looks on with a sinister expression. The creature's voice says, "Let's meet again, Subaru," and then tells him it will reveal its name. The creature reveals its name is Vanquish as its monstrous face is shown again. The creature stands triumphantly over the character, arms wide, surrounded by chaotic color. The creature finds the character's reaction interesting and says, "This is very interesting, Tilda." The creature flexes its long, clawed hands in triumph as the colorful energy subsides. A clear message appears, "End of trial." The system confirms that Subaru has become a player at current level 1. He has acquired the Vampire/Progenitor ability and inherited Vanquish's ability. As Subaru opens his eyes, whispering Vanquish, skill acquisition notification for Blood Mold-LV.1 appears. Subaru receives a rainbow skill bonus, with additional skill acquisitions like Blood Usurper/LV.1 and others. Noticing the rainbow aspect, the system announces that the door of trials will disappear, causing Subaru to react with confusion. A warning flashes that players must exit through the door within 30 seconds, startling Subaru as the ground begins to shake. The rainbow door starts to crack and break apart as the ground collapses. Subaru is thrown onto the collapsing ground, realizing he still can't move his body. He cries out as he falls into a dark void after the door shatters. He screams loudly while falling into utter darkness. He is seen as a small figure plummeting into an endless black abyss. The rainbow door shatters completely in a burst of bright, fragmented light. The other individuals react in shock to the broken rainbow door. One person exclaims that the insect failed the test and died, while another warns not to mess with them. They comment on the fact that entering and failing means what? They wonder what would happen if they were the ones to go through, as they watch the colorful explosion. Two of the onlookers look tense, one looking angry and the other scared. Subaru is shown falling, surrounded by the colorful shards of the broken door. The onlookers continue to react with alarm to the explosion. Subaru's face is finally shown again, eyes closed as the colorful energy washes over him. One of the onlookers shouts in disbelief that he actually came back alive. The angry one curses and realizes that Subaru must have become one. Subaru is now kneeling, surrounded by the fading rainbow fragments, now looking different. A close-up reveals Subaru's eyes have taken on a rainbow hue, confirming he has become a player. The scene opens with a chaotic burst of colorful light and fragments, suggesting a powerful impact or explosion as someone falls backward. The intensity of the event startles a few onlookers below, who react with shock and surprise. The person who fell manages to land, surrounded by the fading remnants of the colorful energy. A close-up shows the main character, Subaru, with a strangely colored, multi-hued gaze, looking determined after the event. This page shows the title card for Chapter 3, and someone calls out for Subaru, clearly distressed. The surprised people confront Subaru, one of them yelling at him and asking if he has become a player. Subaru seems confused by the question at first, but then accepts that it is true. He reflects that he got his new power from that guy named Vanquish. One of the attackers immediately swings his weapon at Subaru, who dodges the attack smoothly. The attacker is shocked that his move was easily avoided, realizing something is wrong. The attacker demands to know why Subaru stole his door, clearly angry about the situation. Subaru shouts back that the door was rightfully his, and then the attacker lunges at him again, aiming to kill. Subaru reacts quickly, anticipating the fatal blow. A close-up highlights Subaru's eyes, now glowing intensely with the rainbow colors of his power. The attackers are shown moving in a frenzy, but Subaru seems unfazed, letting out a bewildered sound. Subaru watches the blurred movements of his opponents with a strange calmness. He thinks to himself that the attackers are moving quite slowly. Subaru is now countering the aggressive swings of the attacker with speed and precision. The first attacker is stunned as Subaru easily blocks his move and notices something about Subaru. Subaru realizes this guy is also a player, which explains his enhanced speed. Subaru notes that because the opponent is a player, his swordsmanship should be faster than a normal person's, but he can still clearly see it all. Subaru is able to perfectly anticipate and counter the group attack coming from the other players. The other players are shocked by Subaru's sudden capability, while the main attacker curses in frustration. Subaru declares that he can dodge the incoming attack. Subaru stops the sword attack barehanded and tells his opponent to stop. The fight is momentarily paused as the attacker reels from the unexpected resistance, letting out a grunt. Subaru seems to have a grip on the situation, even as the struggle continues. The attacker smiles sinisterly, perhaps preparing for a counter. Subaru faces his opponent with a cold look. The attacker aggressively demands to know whose arm Subaru is holding, showing rage. Subaru quickly apologizes and then strikes back, easily repelling the attack. The attacker is clearly hurt and furious, calling Subaru a damn loser. Subaru lands a powerful blow on the attacker's face, causing a strong reaction. The attacker cries out in pain, and Subaru wonders if the attacks actually hurt him or not. Subaru touches his face, realizing the punch didn't leave any real mark. He looks up with wide, surprised eyes. A system notification appears, explaining that the HP gauge shows his vitality, and Subaru recognizes it as a tutorial. The tutorial continues, explaining that when HP hits 0, one is incapacitated, so fighting while taking little damage is key. Subaru is processing this new reality, seeing his HP and MP gauges clearly. He understands this is how players see the world, looking at the other player and his status window. Subaru concludes the system interface must be why the previous punch didn't hurt him much. He confirms to himself that he has truly become a player. The main attacker is frustrated, realizing his attacks are not working effectively against Subaru. The other player urges his partner to look closely, realizing Subaru's power level is concerning. The blue-haired player aggressively tells the other to shut up, mentioning a humiliating event from that morning. A flashback shows the blue-haired player tied up in a web-like structure, clearly feeling underestimated. The blue-haired player channels energy, summoning a fiery light. He uses a skill called Red Rose. Subaru stands firm, completely engulfed in the bright, powerful blast from the skill. The attacker is momentarily stunned, realizing Subaru is using a skill too. The explosion from Red Rose erupts violently, completely surrounding Subaru. The attacker breathes a sigh of relief, thinking it's over, but then his eyes widen in surprise. Smoke and debris clear to show Subaru still standing, though slightly injured. Subaru acknowledges that it was hot and that he lost a lot of HP. His status screen shows his HP significantly dropped, and he realizes he can't afford to take multiple hits. The main attacker is in disbelief, thinking Subaru should be destroyed, as Red Rose is powerful enough to destroy a car. The attacker notes that Subaru took surprisingly little damage, while Subaru just looks back, slightly battered. The blue-haired player suggests they should run away, realizing Subaru's door was higher rank than expected. The main attacker gets angry, telling the other to look closely, as they must stop Subaru now. He insists they must stop Subaru while he is still level 1, or they will never win. The attacker prepares to strike again, determined to kill Subaru right there. Subaru observes them talking, thinking it's a good chance to escape while they are distracted. Suddenly, Subaru is ensnared by thin, dark restraints, realizing he's been trapped. He is shocked to find himself caught in some kind of wire or binding technique. He realizes this binding must be a skill used against him. The blue-haired player stands over him, activating a skill called Ash Wired. Subaru struggles, unable to tear the binding apart, and the attacker screams at him to die. Subaru thinks this situation is bad and desperately needs a skill to counter this. He is in extreme distress. Subaru admits that he doesn't know how to use a skill yet. A dramatic splash of blood fills the screen. Close-ups show Subaru's face, injured and pained. Subaru is shocked as red, blade-like objects pierce him. The attacker's blades, now seemingly enhanced by blood or some dark power, strike Subaru multiple times, causing a massive bloody impact on the main attacker. Subaru activates a skill called Blood Mold, surrounded by a dark, bloody aura, and one of his captors shows a monstrous hand. Subaru calls out the name of the power's source, Vanquish. A voice, likely Vanquish's, calls Subaru a troublesome guy but agrees to teach him the skill just this once. The voice explains that Blood Mold lets him manipulate blood for 10 seconds, showing blood turning into a sword. The voice tells Subaru to figure out the rest himself, as Subaru breaks free and attacks the nearest opponent with the blood blades. The attacker is wounded by the blood manipulation, and the voice tells Subaru to ignite his hatred. Subaru, hearing the word Vanquish, glows with renewed intensity, his eyes shining. Subaru moves with incredible speed, surprising his remaining opponents. The enraged attacker screams in defiance, but Subaru is too fast. Subaru asks why the enemy is still attacking, but the attacker screams for him to shut up. The attacker blames Subaru for the loss of their comrade Kinesaki and demands he die for it. Subaru retorts that they tried to kill him first, and the attacker screams that no one would care if he died. The attacker shouts that nobody needs him, crushing Subaru's spirit. Subaru's expression hardens as he reflects on the harsh words. Subaru stares blankly as the words echo, showing his internal struggle. A close-up on Subaru's determined eyes. A dark, fiery red background appears with a prompt to ignite your hatred. Subaru unleashes his power, telling the attacker to stop saying selfish things. Subaru radiates intense, colorful energy as he moves toward the remaining opponents. The attacker is struck hard by Subaru's counterattack, screaming loudly. Subaru's attack is overwhelmingly powerful, pushing the opponent back with sheer force. Subaru's manipulation of the opponent's weapon or blood shatters the surrounding area with intense energy. Subaru launches a final, powerful move against the remaining opponent. Close-up of the impact shows the incredible force of Subaru's attack. Subaru's powerful strike connects with the attacker, who reacts in pain and shock. The remaining attacker is sent flying backward violently. The attacker is thrown across the area, hitting the wall hard. One of the attackers is seen flying through the night sky after being launched from the building. A strong impact is felt as the remaining opponent hits the ground, blood splattering. The blue-haired player, realizing the fight is over, looks on in horror as Subaru appears ready to strike again. Subaru stands triumphant, radiating a powerful, vibrant glow over the defeated enemies. The blue-haired player, seeing his partner defeated, cries out, realizing it only took one hit from Subaru. The blue-haired player is stunned that Subaru's attack was so effective. Subaru looks on as the blue-haired player seems defeated, and then he walks away, still glowing. Subaru uses Ash Wired on the second attacker who is now stunned. The blue-haired player is shocked by Subaru's power and speed. The blue-haired player is completely overwhelmed by Subaru's presence. Subaru pauses, reflecting on the situation with a calmer expression. Subaru wonders if he should run away, then recalls the incredible power of that punch from before. He realizes that even though the opponent was only level 1, they were incredibly strong, and he wonders what kind of monster gave Subaru this power. Subaru stands still, looking directly at someone as his name, Ariake Subaru, is called out. Subaru wonders if it is finally over as he kneels down, seemingly exhausted but victorious. Subaru exclaims that he won, looking out over the desolate area. He confirms quietly to himself that he won the fight. Subaru acknowledges that winning is good, but then he looks at the two defeated players. He notices the golden star emblem on the wall, possibly a token or item dropped by the players, and the significant crack in the wall from the fight. The two defeated players lie motionless on the ground. Subaru sits down, contemplating what he should do with the bodies of the defeated players. The scene shifts to the outside, showing a more normal cityscape view. Some police officers arrive at the scene, shocked that a body has been split in two, realizing it was not a human's work. One officer expresses concern that it might be an underworld creature, but another assures him he checked and found no signs. A man in a suit, introduced as Hirosaka Renji, a gold player, arrives at the scene. Hirosaka Renji confirms to the police that there are no signs of underworld creatures around. The police officer thanks Mr. Hirosaka, who is identified as a gold player. Hirosaka is then shown a player registration card belonging to Kunisaki Shoteru, a copper player. Hirosaka realizes that slicing a copper player in half means the culprit is at least as powerful as a silver player. Hirosaka feels strangely disturbed but knows they must catch the culprit. He questions if the culprit is Ludwig as a figure in golden armor appears. Hirosaka confirms the identity of the armored figure as Ludwig and states they must catch the culprit quickly. Hirosaka emphasizes that this is not the time for players to fight among themselves. Their duty is clear. He states their primary duty is to destroy as many gates as possible. Hirosaka looks up worriedly at the sky clock counting down before it reaches 0. The officers look on as Hirosaka focuses on the large, glowing countdown clock in the sky. The scene ends with the countdown timer continuing to tick down amidst bright, fracturing light effects. The chapter opens with a very angry and intense close-up of a character's face. Meanwhile, the character wonders why Subaru hasn't returned yet, even though it is already morning, and he hasn't read the messages sent. He checks his phone and finds it strange that his message hasn't been read at all. Suddenly, a huge question mark appears, showing his shock and surprise. He reads a news flash that a copper player was killed in Tokyo 2 hours ago, making him wonder if Subaru has now become a player. His expression changes to one of extreme shock upon realizing something, while another person is seen below, looking scared. He realizes that the person killed was one of the 3 people who used to bully Subaru. The thought sends a wave of shock through him, leading to a chaotic image of destruction and a person sitting in distress. His eyes glow bright yellow as a powerful aura surrounds his foot, indicating a sudden surge of power or realization. This power results in an intense, destructive impact that shatters the surroundings. The character stands amidst the debris, surrounded by an intense yellow glow, his expression unreadable. Someone shouts Subaru's name, and the shocked character questions if Subaru has indeed become a player, his eyes now glowing intensely. The title card for Chapter 4 appears, showing the setting shifting to Shinagawa City. The scene moves to a large, imposing building, identified as the Japan Players Federation headquarters. This place is where awakened players register and the official organization that manages the gates is located, with many different types of players gathered around a fountain. The newly awakened character looks around, amazed that everyone present seems to be a player, and then approaches the registration counter. A cheerfully pink-haired staff member greets him excitedly at the new member registration counter. She congratulates him on his awakening and asks if he wants to register, explaining that in Japan, only members can legally enter gates. He learns that leveling up only happens inside the gates, so he must register to get stronger. The staff member then brings up the news about yesterday's player murder case, showing the picture of the deceased copper player. She mentions that investigating a player's death is also a job for players, and the possibility of a gold-ranked player appearing to investigate is high, which makes the dark-haired character very worried about Taiga. The dark-haired character is shown terrified as the powerful, glowing figure looms over him. He resolves that he must clear many gates to level up and prepare himself, and the staff member begins explaining the general rules. The character confirms he did his homework at an internet cafe and listens as the staff explains the first rule: clearing a gate results in a level up. The second rule is about difficulty being related to the number of stars on the gate, and the third is that destroyed gates yield stars that can be exchanged for money. The character processes this, remembering the star, and then asks the staff if he can exchange a star that Sawatari dropped yesterday. He explains that he has no money right now, and Sawatari dropped this star when he died. He apologizes but says he must borrow the exchange for now, while the staff member looks down at him with a fierce gaze. The staff member questions whose star it is, causing the dark-haired character to panic, with commentary noting the translators' and proofreaders' reactions. The dark-haired character explains that right after becoming a player yesterday, a gate appeared in front of him, and after clearing it, he got this star. The staff member sternly warns him that non-members invading a gate face imprisonment up to 5 years or a fine up to 1 million yen, which makes the character panic about imprisonment. He realizes he was careless and didn't know the punishment was so severe, worrying about what he should do now. The scene shifts outside the Federation building. A man outside reacts with surprise just as a menacing figure, Ariake Tega, one of Japan's 7 gold rank players, walks in. Tega arrives, radiating power and presence. The clerk, intimidated, asks Tega what business he has there, as Tega mentions the previous night's murder case and asks if the witness and evidence are present. Tega tells the clerk he has something to check, focusing on the investigation. Tega pulls down his sunglasses, intent on checking something. A sound effect echoes as the scene shifts focus back to the money exchange rate details. The newly registered player is shocked to see the exchange value, realizing that 1 star is worth 1 million yen. He confirms that he successfully exchanged the star for money, but then remembers the rule about non-members invading gates. The staff member, seeing his panic, quickly changes her demeanor and says she will let it slide just this once. The character is immensely relieved and thanks her profusely. He reflects on how close he came to trouble, but even so, he looks at his phone, thinking about the money. He looks at the exchange rates again, realizing the huge potential earnings, which brings his dream back to mind. He knows he has to risk his life to get that wealth, so he resolves to immediately find a gate. He finishes his drink and decides he must go look for a gate now, planning to return for a drink after clearing it. He pauses outside the shops, wondering about something. He looks at a bright, inviting clothing store, then at the barber shop. Standing in front of a vending machine, he seems to be contemplating something, holding up his tattered clothes. He looks determined. The barber and the shop owner greet him warmly as he enters their shops. There's a display showing the immense value of the stars he exchanged, a huge sum of money shown. The amount yen 875,200 is displayed prominently as the owners express thanks. The owners thank him happily. The character, now cleanly dressed in new clothes and holding shopping bags, beams with happiness. He walks past other shops, feeling good about his new look. He receives his caramel macchiato and feels satisfied. He takes a sip and his face lights up, feeling amazed. He feels amazing, noting he got to buy his own clothes and get a proper haircut for the first time. He realizes this is the first time he's ever done such things, and now he's experiencing this moment. He settles in a cafe booth, enjoying his surroundings and his drink. He savors the caramel macchiato, finding it incredibly delicious. He is so overwhelmed by the taste that he cries a little, acknowledging the freedom he is experiencing for the first time in his life. He looks determined, taking another moment to enjoy the taste before his mission. He looks out the window, thinking about what comes next. He thinks about experiencing freedom right now. The scene flashes back to the dark memory of Subaru being bullied by Tega and his crew. He snaps back to the present, holding his coffee, realizing he is experiencing freedom now. He states he is experiencing freedom for the first time in his life. He drinks his coffee, deciding that after this, he will immediately start looking for a gate. He plans to clear it and come back for another drink, because now he is a player. His determined face is shown, glowing in the light. The atmosphere darkens, and a fiery, menacing aura begins to emerge from below. The terrifying figure of Ariake Tega appears reflected in a surface above the bloodied main character. Tega's face is full of rage, his eyes glowing yellow. He shouts "Hey!" showing his anger. Tega calls the protagonist a damn insect, and then shouts his name, Tega. Protagonist, shocked that Tega found him, reacts in terror. He wonders how Tega is here, but immediately tells himself to focus. He knows he has to escape. Tega attacks with massive force, sending shards of glass flying as he lunges forward. The protagonist is thrown back through the window, screaming in pain as more effects of the attack fly around. The protagonist is grabbed by Tega, who is wearing heavy bracelets. The protagonist is pulled towards Tega with incredible speed. Both of them crash through the building, falling upside down amidst broken glass. Taiga is shown outside, having launched them both through the structure. The scene shows the massive damage caused by the impact, with red blood splatter effects dominating the frame. The protagonist is completely overwhelmed by Taiga's attack. The victim of the initial murder cries out as the protagonist's blood trails around him. The victim is terrified, screaming in distress. The protagonist, covered in blood and wounds, grits his teeth in pain. He activates a skill, his hands reaching out with a rainbow-colored aura surrounding them. Taiga looks over, seemingly unimpressed by the protagonist's move. The protagonist uses his blood skill, forming thick ropes of blood that wrap around objects, including a van and other cars. The blood ropes wrap tightly around a nearby van. More blood ropes bind other vehicles in the vicinity. He commands his blood to form a rope and then shouts break. The blood ropes lash out, targeting Taiga and the area around him. The protagonist, completely entangled in his own blood ropes, screams at the civilians to get away quickly. A woman screams in fear while holding a crying child. The protagonist yells at the people to escape, pulling his body away from Taiga. The protagonist curses in frustration as he is pinned down. He leans against a wall, bleeding heavily as the sound of dripping blood echoes. The scene shifts to a gate opening with intense blue and yellow energy, signaling something major happening. Taiga stands powerfully in the resulting destruction, calling out Subaru, the protagonist, who looks up at him. The protagonist can't believe what is happening. Taiga states with a smirk that the protagonist really did become a player, while the protagonist looks beaten but resolved. The protagonist acknowledges that he is fighting a gold rank player even though he is only level 1, and that Taiga has discovered him. Taiga glows with golden energy, roaring that he will kill the protagonist. Despite the threat, the protagonist looks up, his eyes now glowing with a fierce blue and green light. The protagonist, covered in his own blood, prepares for a counterattack. With renewed determination, he shouts that he has to do it. Everyone was stuck in a huge traffic jam, and the cars were not moving at all. A person stopped their car and asked what was happening outside. Someone running past told the driver that the gold rank player, Taiga, was on a rampage. They warned everyone to leave their cars and run away quickly. The driver was shocked to hear about the gold rank player going crazy. The person who gave the warning urged them to hurry and save themselves. It seemed like the entire area was turning into chaos because of this rampage. Huge explosions and destruction were happening everywhere. Two strong figures faced each other amid the destruction, one with a menacing grin and the other looking determined but injured. This was the big confrontation. The chapter title card appeared, showing the story's title, and then the face of the powerful fighter, Taiga, was shown with him saying a name. The injured fighter, Subaru, asked Taiga how he knew where he was, looking quite desperate. Taiga just laughed at the question. Taiga attacked Subaru with a powerful golden strike, sending Subaru flying back with a surprised look. Subaru managed to dodge the worst of the attack and landed some distance away, realizing his mistake in turning on his phone's power for payment confirmation, which must have revealed his location. Subaru admitted that turning on his phone's power was a mistake that led Taiga to him. Taiga then chillingly stated that it didn't matter now because Subaru was going to die anyway. As Taiga powered up, Subaru thought about surviving, realizing that this fight was about life and death. Taiga was already activating a powerful skill. Taiga used his skill, Golden Arm, displaying immense power and golden armor. Subaru was in deep trouble. Subaru looked on in horror, his eyes showing mixed colors, realizing how quickly things had escalated. He saw the power of Taiga's skill. Everything faded to black, and a sound effect introduced a mysterious presence. A strange, shadowy figure appeared behind Subaru, asking if he had any advice on winning, suggesting this figure might be an inner voice or a system prompt. The figure explained that Taiga's blood mold skill transfers MP into one's own blood and manipulates it freely, but warned that overusing it would quickly drain the user's resources. Subaru checked his low HP and MP. Subaru focused, declaring that surviving was his absolute first priority, not winning the fight. His eyes began to glow with rainbow energy. A status screen appeared showing Subaru's details. Subaru, a level 1 vampire with his current low stats. Right next to Subaru's stats, Taiga's high stats as a level 23 Golden Knight were displayed, showing the massive gap in power. Taiga commanded Scatter and attacked again with his golden energy, launching a devastating blow. Taiga's attack, empowered by Golden Impact, seemed unstoppable as it blasted forward. Subaru prepared himself, and during the massive impact, his face showing grim determination despite the hits. Taiga smirked, believing he had won, then moved swiftly, seemingly unbothered by Subaru's previous efforts. Subaru was blasted high into the air, and Taiga looked shocked as he saw a red thread-like energy catch Subaru. Taiga realized the red thread was a wire-like skill, and another person below seemed to be using a skill that imitated someone else's, causing Taiga's surprise. Subaru, now hanging from the thread, desperately thought he needed to figure out how to use blood mold somehow to counter this. Taiga mocked Subaru, calling him slow, and moved in for the final strike with his golden fist. Subaru was caught off guard by Taiga's speed and powerful punch, looking like he was about to be defeated. As Taiga's attack landed, a massive wave of red energy likely Subaru's blood skill erupted, colliding with Taiga's golden power. The clash of powers created a huge shockwave that spread across the battlefield. The impact scattered debris everywhere, showing the sheer force unleashed by Subaru's counterattack against Taiga's explosion. Subaru landed safely, noting how close that was, and realized how powerful Taiga's attack was, acknowledging that a single hit would kill him. Subaru wondered about Taiga's wire skill, which allowed free movement and grabbing. Taiga called this skill pathetic. Taiga declared that he only needed one more shot to finish Subaru off, as Subaru stood in the distance on the cracked ground. Subaru, covered in blood, watched as Taiga prepared the finishing blow. Subaru was hit, covered in blood again, looking like he was about to be finished. Taiga was confused, thinking he saw smoke or some kind of diversion, questioning if Subaru had another skill ready. Taiga became more alert, suspecting a new trick from Subaru, especially seeing the rainbow energy return. Taiga stood over Subaru, who was enveloped in rainbow light, and Subaru focused intently, remembering the words of someone named Vanquish. The memory flashed back, someone teaching Subaru to ignite his hatred, showing Taiga's past overconfidence being shattered. Subaru focused on igniting his hatred, channeling the rainbow energy into a focused attack aimed at Taiga. Subaru managed to strike Taiga, the attack looking like it was directly aimed at Taiga's chest. Taiga looked surprised by the counter, and Subaru's multicolored eyes flashed with renewed power. The attack, which was Subaru's blood skill, seemed to hit Taiga hard, causing him pain and visible shock. Taiga screamed out in pain as Subaru's attack connected forcefully. Subaru noted that this was the very attack that defeated a character named Sawatari with one blow. However, the status screen showed that the attack did not affect Taiga's health at all despite the strong visual impact. Taiga taunted Subaru, saying he was over there. Taiga gripped Subaru, causing more injury, and Subaru's health dropped drastically. Taiga was about to land another hit, but Subaru used some kind of quick evasion or redirection. Subaru's HP dropped to a critical level of 12 out of 173, but he was still conscious, while Taiga looked angry. Taiga, preparing to finish it, boasted that Subaru couldn't run anymore. As Taiga prepared to attack again, red, sharp projectiles appeared, seemingly from Subaru's blood skill. Taiga wondered if Subaru was planning something more, and Subaru, recovering slightly, focused on his blood. Subaru decided to make his blood turn into fog to evade Taiga's next attack. Taiga was confused as his attack seemed to miss its target entirely. Taiga was suddenly covered in blood that hardened around him, screaming out the name of the skill, blood mold. Taiga was struggling, realizing Subaru made the toughest blood he could. Subaru then mentioned he only needed a little more effort. Taiga mocked Subaru again, calling him pathetic, believing he still had the upper hand despite the strange blood binding him. Taiga, struggling against the blood, was still confident in his superior stats and power. Subaru, severely injured, noted that Taiga had not a single scratch from his previous powerful attacks. Subaru recalled Taiga's immense speed, power, and defense, realizing his current skills were not enough. Subaru acknowledged that everything about Taiga was on a totally different level. Taiga's armor even cracked under some unexpected pressure. Subaru thought that even if he became a player on the brink of death, he still couldn't beat Taiga with his current skills. Subaru focused on his blood skill, which could change blood into various things with high applicability, realizing it would become complicated if Taiga leveled up further. Subaru was pinned down by Taiga, feeling utterly defeated by Taiga's strength. Subaru thought about the versatility of his skill, which could turn blood into many things, realizing the complexity of using it if Taiga leveled up. Subaru realized that right now, he just had to kill Taiga before he got too strong or before his current situation worsened. Subaru activated his skill just as Taiga was about to crush him with a golden fist. The resulting clash was massive, showing Taiga's golden attack being met by Subaru's powerful counter. The energy released from the collision sent Subaru flying away, dodging the worst of the blow. Subaru managed to escape the immediate danger, landing hard on the ground. Subaru coughed, admitting it was a close call, and remembered that Taiga's skills covered speed, strength, and defense. He concluded that none of Taiga's obvious attributes worked against his blood mold defense. Taiga was still standing strong, looking down at the low-health Subaru, whose HP and MP were severely depleted. Subaru, looking at the remnants of the blood mold around Taiga's fist, asked about something soft and sticky, like boxing mitts or an off-road tire. Taiga was confused by the strange objects Subaru was mentioning. Subaru explained that what he imagined dispersed the impact like an airbag, causing Taiga to be stunned. Taiga couldn't remove the blood substance that had stuck to him, realizing the true nature of Subaru's unexpected defense. Taiga was furious, realizing Subaru's skill was more effective than he expected. Subaru noted that this was the critical moment because the effect time of blood mold was only 10 seconds and he needed to capitalize on it. Subaru resolved to stop Taiga, even if it meant using all his remaining MP. Taiga screamed in frustration as the blood mass around him transformed. Taiga was engulfed by Subaru's blood, which grew into a massive red figure. Taiga cried out Subaru's name in desperation. Taiga was completely trapped by the blood transformation, looking furious and helpless. Taiga realized that Subaru had successfully bought time as the effect of blood mold wore off, turning the solidified blood back into normal blood. Taiga understood there was a time limit to the skill and thought Subaru must have a backup plan, like a smoke screen with a time difference. Taiga declared his goal was now survival, and he was confident he would succeed as he unleashed a powerful counterattack. Taiga screamed at Subaru not to think he had already won and vowed to hunt him down to the end. Suddenly, other powerful players arrived, including Yudu and Shikishima, making Taiga realize he might have gone too far by escalating the fight so much. The new arrivals stepped in to restrain Taiga, telling him there was no time to explain and they needed his account of what happened first. Subaru wondered if he managed to escape against Taiga, noting he couldn't even land a single hit. He resolved to get revenge next time. Subaru looked at his tattered clothes, realizing he lost the things he just bought while shopping. His old clothes were still at the cafe. He reflected that shopping was fun, but to gain freedom, he had to fight, as he didn't want to return to his old life and decided he would get stronger. The scene shifts to a later time, showing a calmer rooftop setting at sunset. A character is sitting on a rooftop, looking at a cup of coffee, with the thought that the fight is over for now. The character thought about how he didn't want to go back to that bad life anymore and needed to get stronger. The scene shifts to a confrontation at a gate entrance, where a group of aggressive-looking players confronts a woman. One of the men rudely told the woman that he already told her he made a reservation for this gate and told her to check the website. The men dismissed the reservation rule, saying she looked weak and demanded she hand over access to them. The woman, with a smirk, responded that they shouldn't mistake her weakness, implying she was someone important. Woman, Amamiya Sayaka, a copper player, decided she would remind them of who she was. The girl named Amamiya Sayaka was angry and decided to remind the others who she was. She confidently stated that she would have to remind them of her strength. Amamiya Sayaka, a copper player, then told the muscular man that he was very weak. The man then mockingly asked her level, and she replied that she was only level 8. Sayaka, despite being injured, retorted, asking what about it. The other players from the Grax team, with an average level of 13, laughed and pointed out that it was no wonder she couldn't beat him alone. Sayaka grunted, realizing that this guy's skill was not compatible with her fighting style. One of the members of the opposing team then suggested that Sayaka should let them take the gate. He further argued that the world is all about the survival of the fittest. Sayaka thought to herself, acknowledging that she already knew the rule of survival of the fittest, but that was why she couldn't afford to lose to them. Sayaka, with her eyes covered, seemed to agree with the survival of the fittest idea. The hostile player then bluntly told her she had no talent and should leave their team. Sayaka, clearly upset and injured, mumbled that this was why she couldn't afford to lose to them. The muscular player impatiently said it was a pain and moved to attack her. He aggressively told her to hurry up and go to sleep, making Sayaka frustrated. A different, injured man suddenly appeared from a broken wall, asking to excuse him. This newcomer questioned the group, asking if they were deciding who enters the gate based on the survival of the fittest. The group was surprised by the sudden appearance of the injured man, who then asked if he could join their team too. The group stared at the newcomer, who was covered in blood, wondering who he was. The muscular man yelled, "Who?" in disbelief at this unexpected interruption. One of the other players aggressively grabbed the newcomer, demanding to know where he came from. As the player touched him, a drop of blood fell, and the word blood mold appeared, suggesting a power related to blood. One of the hostile players flew backward after being hit by something unseen. The attacker, who seemed to be the newcomer, was moving so fast that the other player was shocked. The attacker had knocked down the player, leaving a pool of blood, while the remaining thugs looked on in shock. Sayaka and one of the thugs expressed their shock, while the newcomer thought about needing to get stronger quickly. The newcomer's eyes glowed with a rainbow of colors as the thugs reacted with anger and confusion about his level. When the newcomer revealed he was level 1, they didn't believe him and wondered if he had a lucky long-distance skill. They decided that if he was truly level 1, they could easily crush him with their higher status and rush to surround him. The newcomer prepared himself, bloodied but determined, looking at his attackers. As one of the thugs threw a punch, the newcomer quickly countered and knocked him out with a single blow. He swiftly took out another attacker, while the remaining thugs watched, stunned. The newcomer reflected that he felt like he had only been fighting other players, but these opponents were different. He then easily took down the other 2 thugs who were attacking him. Meanwhile, in a different fight, someone commented that these enemies were slower than the 2 players they were fighting before. A bright light flashed as the newcomer seemed to unleash some kind of powerful force. He landed a clean punch on another thug, making him groan in pain. The thugs were completely shocked, asking what the hell this guy was as he stood tall, ready to fight. They realized with dread that he was only level 1. The muscular leader was stunned, and the newcomer, looking focused, used a skill that caused a blue light effect. The leader then activated his own skill, which seemed to be a defensive technique. The newcomer countered with a massive fiery attack called Trill Six. The leader was engulfed in the explosion, and his face showed disbelief. The newcomer's blood mold skill seemed to protect him as red orbs formed around him, deflecting the attack. The leader screamed in shock as his attack was blocked by what looked like a blood shield, and he was thrown back. The leader was blasted away, while Sayaka, who had fallen back, watched in disbelief. The leader was sent flying, and Sayaka stared, unable to process what she just saw. Sayaka was shocked that this level 1 guy had defeated all of them in one hit, and the newcomer casually mentioned his clothes got dirty again. She concluded that if he was really level 1, his skill level was way too high, making him definitely not a copper or silver player, perhaps even gold rank. The newcomer quickly stripped the clothes off one of the unconscious thugs, while Sayaka watched with a confused expression. Sayaka was shocked that he just stole the defeated thug's clothes, but the newcomer seemed happy, saying alright. The newcomer approached the gate with the stolen clothes, and Sayaka watched him, surprised by his smile. The narrator even commented on loving his smile, which made Sayaka blush slightly as he approached the gate. The newcomer touched the gate, which then sealed shut, trapping Sayaka and the defeated players outside. Sayaka was left kneeling outside, shocked and screaming HAH. As the gate locked, the scene shifted to a vast, beautiful canyon landscape inside the gate with a strange, rugged terrain. The newcomer stood before the gate inside the new area, which was labeled Karakul Canyon, and he seemed pleased. He thought to himself that this is what it looks like inside a gate, which should be a dangerous place, but the view is nice. Suddenly realizing the situation, he shouted, "Wait a damn second." As he saw the gate mechanism, he saw Sayaka appearing outside the gate, and then he noticed the locking mechanism being engaged. Sayaka was relieved that the gate hadn't locked yet, realizing she could still stop it. The system confirmed the lock, stating players couldn't leave until the boss was defeated. Sayaka smirked, thinking that now even if the others woke up, they couldn't get in, while the newcomer looked confused. The newcomer protested, asking if he hadn't earned this gate fairly, and Sayaka quickly stated that was not true as she originally reserved it for herself. She explained that gates are registered on a website for reservation, and one person doing it all alone is not the way to conquer them, to which the newcomer understood. The newcomer apologized, saying it was his first time entering a gate and he had to level up immediately for some reason. He then asked Sayaka if she would allow him to accompany her inside the gate. Sayaka thought that since it was his first time, he must really be level 1. She agreed to let him join, saying he helped her out just now, and the newcomer was thrilled. Sayaka added that she knew what it felt like to want to get stronger. The newcomer thanked her profusely, and Sayaka quickly laid down the terms for dividing the exchange money, 7:3. The newcomer happily agreed to the division. Sayaka introduced herself as Amamiya Sayaka, telling him it was nice to meet him. The newcomer replied, introducing himself as Ariake. Ariake suddenly remembered the news that a copper player had been accused of murdering a player. Looking horrified, he recalled the name Vanquish. Ariake then gave a determined look, ready to face whatever comes next. He extended his hand for a handshake, saying it was nice to meet her. Sayaka shook his hand, asking if he was a foreigner, and then agreed, saying, "Alright." Sayaka pumped her fist, ready to go, and threw a stone to start their entry. Ariake was confused by the stone being thrown, while Sayaka was focused on entering. The panel focused on the green, crystalline stone that was thrown. Ariake shouted Miss Amamiya, realizing something was wrong, and he mentioned blood. Sayaka was shown grabbing the stone. She activated her skill near the gate, releasing a burst of energy that seemed to hit something. Sayaka realized she spoke too casually, looking troubled as she raised her arm. Sayaka noted that the monsters, goblins and kobolds, had appeared. Ariake looked at the large number of monsters and remarked on the bunch of goblins and kobolds. Sayaka confidently told him to leave the fight to her, preparing to attack. Sayaka lunged forward with a powerful kick, causing shockwaves that targeted the monsters. Ariake wondered how players fight underworld creatures, considering the usual methods. He recalled that fighting requires increased physical strength and reflexes surpassing biological limits. He thought about how players also rely on skill. Sayaka looked very determined, telling the monsters she would see them in their dreams before attacking. She efficiently took down the first few enemies, causing the monsters to look shocked and defeated. Ariake exclaimed OHH as he watched Sayaka easily dispatching the monsters. Sayaka looked fierce as she unleashed a powerful punch on the larger wolf-like creature. The monsters were being thrown around violently by her attacks. Sayaka continued to move swiftly, dealing massive damage to the horde of monsters. She stood over the defeated monsters, looking exhausted but victorious, while Ariake was impressed by how she defeated all of them in one hit. Ariake admitted she was so strong, and Sayaka then explained her skill. Sayaka proudly revealed her skill, Instant Void. She explained that it is incompatible with long-range skills but is her specialty in close combat, as it stuns opponents. However, Sayaka looked confused when she realized the enemies were not defeated yet. Ariake understood, realizing Instant Void stuns for 3 seconds against opponents up to 3 levels higher, meaning you must kill or escape within that short window. Sayaka screamed in panic as the monsters, who were seemingly stunned, were now swarming her, and she cried for Ariake to help. Ariake hesitated, having listened to her earlier instruction to leave it to me and hadn't moved an inch. Sayaka panicked, realizing Ariake was too far away to help and that she was going to die. Ariake understood that her stun skill also had a time limit, just like his blood mold. He noted that with multiple long-range enemies, he couldn't use his blades because Sayaka was in the way. Ariake decided he would have to use his blood mold skill to help her. A woman was suddenly surrounded by small monsters and she cried out for Vanquish to help her. She urgently shouted for Vanquish while being attacked by the creatures. Vanquish appeared with powerful energy, activating his blood mold skill. This image shows the chapter title card. Vanquish used his powers, with red lines indicating the movement of his skill in the environment. The red lines of his skill kept moving toward the enemies, even as one of the small monsters prepared to strike. One goblin was caught by Vanquish's power and looked like it was being strangled or pulled apart. The goblin that was caught showed a surprised reaction as Vanquish's blood tendrils wrapped around it. Vanquish tightened his blood control, capturing multiple goblins and the larger blue wolf-like monsters with his blood ropes. Miss Amamiya, who was watching, was shocked by the display of power and wondered what Vanquish was doing. Vanquish stood in the middle of the glowing effect, eyes glowing with multicolored power as the blood ropes constricted the enemies. Vanquish clenched his fist while the blood ropes tightened around the enemies, pulling them hard. The blood ropes yanked the captured monsters into the air with crushing force. Miss Amamiya looked on, slightly roughed up, as one of the wolf monsters was violently pulled away. Vanquish, surrounded by colorful energy, pulled all the enemies upward with his blood strands against a fiery orange sky. He stood still, holding the blood ropes, while Miss Amamiya stared, completely speechless. Miss Amamiya was shocked and started yelling out, while down below, Vanquish stood after dealing with the immediate threat. The smaller enemies were shown defeated and scattered on the ground, including the wolf creature. More defeated enemies were shown lying around, and one character finally said, "All right." Vanquish smiled brightly as a system notification appeared around him. System messages popped up saying he leveled up multiple times, now reaching level 4, and his blood mold skill improved with increased duration and effectiveness. Vanquish seemed to notice something and wondered aloud if the wounds he got from Tega had healed. He checked himself, showing off his improved physique, as notifications confirmed his strength increased and his HP/MP were fully recovered. Vanquish felt happy, Realizing this was what it felt like to level up with all his stats boosted, Vanquish called out to Miss Amamiya, who was still standing in the distance, looking at the aftermath. Miss Amamiya was thinking to herself how Vanquish defeated everyone all at once, wondering what kind of person he was. Vanquish complimented Miss Amamiya, telling her what an amazing skill she has. Miss Amamiya, looking confused and slightly injured, pointed out that he should be the one receiving the compliment. Vanquish explained that her skill stuns opponents she hits without fail, right? Miss Amamiya agreed, but only if the level difference is 3 or less for 3 seconds, leading her to ask if he wouldn't become invincible by using it every 3 seconds in a one-on-one fight. Vanquish showed 3 fingers as he talked about the conditions of her skill, while Amamiya looked thoughtful. Amamiya suddenly realized the truth of his statement and exclaimed that it was true. Vanquish then pointed out an example of the terrain they were in, suggesting how her skill could be used effectively there. He pointed out a narrow passage where enemies were lined up, saying, "Oh look, there's an enemy." Miss Amamiya suddenly darted forward before Vanquish could finish, saying wait. She rushed toward the enemy, shouting for him to wait for a moment while she prepared to attack. Amamiya got a determined look as she charged, ready to engage the enemy. She activated her skill, Instant Void, and struck the first enemy in line. She thought to herself to hit them first and then stun them, counting down the time until the stun effect hit. She counted to 3, ensuring the stun landed perfectly on the goblin. With the second hit, she was successfully connecting with the enemy, who seemed confused. The goblin was thrown off balance, and Amamiya excitedly cheered, "All right." She decided to keep hitting the enemy non-stop while she had the chance. Close up on Amamiya intensely delivering hits, followed by a shot of the enemy being overwhelmed. LV6 Goblin was defeated, and Amamiya reacted with surprise. She was thrilled, realizing how much fun she was having, and asked if it was okay for her to enjoy the fight this much. Excited, Amamiya told the remaining enemies to keep coming at her. Vanquish observed from a distance, noting that Miss Amamiya seemed okay now, and then prepared for his own fight. He looked towards the entrance of the canyon, focused on the remaining threats. Miss Amamiya got ready to fight the next monster with a determined punch. She braced herself for the next engagement, her eyes wide with readiness. A system message alerted them that the boss had appeared, causing a big question mark from Amamiya. Amamiya alerted Vanquish to the boss, pointing toward the threat as Vanquish also reacted with shock. Vanquish was suddenly faced with a massive, intimidating presence. The massive blue wolf boss with a smaller goblin archer riding on its back loomed over Vanquish. Vanquish told Miss Amamiya that he would handle the goblin chief, who was LV17. He then declared that he would be fighting the large kobold, the LV12 boss monster. Vanquish looked intensely at the 2 remaining major threats, preparing for the division of labor. A split view showed Vanquish's determined profile and the fierce eyes of the large kobold. Vanquish stood brightly colored against the background, preparing to fight the large kobold, while Miss Amamiya dealt with the residual effects of the previous fight. Amamiya flinched back from an explosion, while Vanquish's eyes showed surprise at something happening. Vanquish, glowing with his rainbow aura, positioned himself to attack the large kobold as it seemed to be caught off guard. The large kobold seemed to be falling or staggering from the impact of Vanquish's attack. Vanquish approached with a strong stance, ready to land a powerful blow on the wolf boss. A massive impact exploded where Vanquish connected with his target, showing great force. Vanquish landed a hit on the large kobold, causing a shockwave, while the goblin chief was still nearby. A system message popped up detecting a skill activation, as Vanquish's opponent seemed to be using a powerful ability. Vanquish was directly facing a large arrow-like attack coming from the goblin chief on the boss's back. A powerful green energy blast shot out, resembling multiple arrows or a concentrated beam. The green skill engulfed the area, and as it hit the large kobold, Vanquish reacted to the skill activation. The system identified the skill as Forage LV2, hitting the large kobold, and Vanquish showed a surprised expression. Vanquish used his blood mold to intercept the attack, which made sickening gulping sounds as it absorbed the energy, causing him pain. The absorbed energy from the green skill caused a massive explosion in the red blood mass. Vanquish looked like he was severely impacted by the explosion, struggling against the force. The energy dissipated with a pop, and Vanquish was sent flying backward, bleeding. Vanquish was shown defeated and falling, with a thought bubble above him saying, "So strong." He realized that if his blood mold wasn't level 2, he would have died from the silver class cavalry archer's powerful skills. The large kobold was shown after delivering a powerful skill. Vanquish stood up from the ground with a strong presence, realizing this was the real boss fight. Vanquish called out Vanquish as he faced the remaining enemies, including the large kobold and the goblin chief. Miss Anime, looking intense, thought about the incredible fight, but realized her skills were useless against the high-level goblin chief and kobold. The status bars confirmed the level difference: goblin chief LV 17 and large kobold LV. Amamiya was cornered, but still fighting back fiercely against the monster attacking her. Amamiya decided she had to clean up the remaining lower-level enemies first, while the large kobold stood over a defeated enemy. Vanquish focused, his eyes shining with the rainbow colors, as he summoned blood around his hands to deal with the remaining threats. He sent out red blood projectiles toward the enemies, while the large kobold prepared its counterattack. The large kobold was hit by the blood attacks, shaking from the impact. Vanquish's blood attack flew past the large kobold. Vanquish stood firm, facing the massive large kobold and the goblin chief on its back, who seemed ready to attack him. Vanquish, with a determined look, was ready for the goblin chief's incoming skill. The goblin chief used its skill, sending out green energy projectiles, and Vanquish reacted with a gulp, knowing he had to defend. Vanquish used his blood to block the arrows, struggling against the incoming damage, and grimaced, "Ugh." Vanquish was hit hard by the combined attack, clearly taking damage from the arrows. He realized with horror that his defense didn't work against the barrage and shouted, "It didn't work." Vanquish observed that the large kobold had high mobility to approach and evade his traps. He noted that the goblin chief was good at long-range attacks, leaving him feeling trapped with no opening to escape or restrain them. Vanquish felt his blood shield failing against the incoming attack, thinking, again? The goblin chief activated a skill, marked by a glow. The skill was named Perforation LV 3, a powerful piercing attack directed at Vanquish. Vanquish was stunned by the power of the skill. The piercing attack hit Vanquish through the blood defenses, drawing blood. The attack continued downwards, while the small rider on the boss seemed unconcerned. Vanquish was clearly injured, spitting blood, and cried out in pain. He realized this was a second skill and that his blood shield was useless because the penetration power was too high. Vanquish was in disbelief, realizing he had fallen into the boss's trap. He understood that the previous rain of arrows was just a decoy to set him up for this real attack. Vanquish looked up at the massive boss towering over him, realizing the dire situation. Defeated and on his knees, he wondered what he should do next. The goblin chief was shown preparing another attack, with strong sound effects indicating force. The large kobold also seemed to be powering up an attack or reacting to something. Miss Amamir rushed in to attack the large kobold, shouting in surprise when she saw Vanquish in trouble. Vanquish yelled out for Miss Amamiya, questioning why she was using instant void on the boss. Amamiya landed a hit, and Vanquish questioned if her skill was only supposed to work against lower-level opponents. Vanquish was confused because Amamiya's stun skill seemed to be working on the high-level boss. The large kobold flinched, showing the stun worked, as Vanquish looked on in confusion. Vanquish was relieved and surprised that it worked, while Amamiya looked on at the cleared passage. Vanquish looked down the canyon, realizing all the enemies in the passageway were eliminated. Miss Amamiya's level increased to LV 9, making her happy. She exclaimed that her level increased, while Vanquish looked at the large kobold and noted the change in her stun duration. Amamiya's skill duration had increased by 3 seconds, suggesting her level up benefited her ability. The goblin chief's attack was interrupted as Vanquish swiftly moved. Amamiya called out to Vanquish again, ready to take on the next opponent. Vanquish told her he would leave the goblin chief to her and thanked her. Vanquish, now glowing again and covered in blood, looked ready for the goblin chief. Amamiya engaged the large kobold, and Vanquish prepared his blood strings. Vanquish used his blood to bind the large kobold, commanding the blood to turn into rubber for a stronger hold. He used the bound large kobold to block the arrows coming from the goblin chief. Vanquish ordered the blood binding to return to rope form to secure the immobilized large kobold. Vanquish was focused, using his powerful blood manipulation. The blood cords wrapped around the large kobold, pulling it forcefully. Amamiya watched as the large kobold was yanked away, shouting "Yuwa." Vanquish, after defeating the LV 12 large kobold, leveled up multiple times, reaching level 6, and his HP/MP recovered. He was now level 6, and the system confirmed his full recovery. Vanquish decided he needed to deliver a heavy blow from close range to the goblin chief. He looked intensely, remembering Tega's skill. He intended to use a skill similar to Tega's. He prepared to use his blood mold and activated a new skill, Derivation. Vanquish unleashed Blood Fist, a powerful attack enhancing his physical strike with blood energy, and faced the goblin chief. The Goblin Chief was hit by the powerful downward beam from Vanquish's enhanced attack. The attack created massive shockwaves around the impact point. The force of the attack combined the blue energy with Vanquish's red blood aura, hitting the Goblin Chief. The Goblin Chief was overwhelmed by the colorful, intense power of Vanquish's attack. The Goblin Chief spat out a blue substance, defeated by the overwhelming blow. Vanquish stood strong with his unique eyes as the background glowed from the defeat. The system confirmed that Vanquish had defeated the Goblin Chief LV. 17. Vanquish leveled up several times after clearing the challenge. His blood mold skill also upgraded to level 3, increasing its duration to 20 seconds and effectiveness. Vanquish called out Vanquish as he stood in the open field. Miss Amamiya approached him, asking if he won the fight. Amamiya looked relieved and happy, while Vanquish stood victorious in the glowing background. Vanquish cheerfully gave a peace sign, clearly pleased with the outcome. The clear screen showed the completion details for Karakul Canyon, with a final stats screen showing Vanquish's massive level and attribute increases. Someone sneezed loudly after exiting the gate, and the other players asked if he was alright. One of the players was very angry because the main character had stolen his jacket, and he swore to kill him with his skill when he came out. Suddenly, the clear display showed that the gate was cleared, with only 3 hours, 11 minutes, and 46 seconds remaining. The other players were shocked by this short time. They knew that clearing a 2-star gate usually took about 2 hours, so they were confused by the fast clear time. The main character and his partner, Amamiya, walked out, and the other players immediately asked why they were there. The angry player was completely stunned and asked if they had actually cleared the gate. The main character and Amamiya confirmed that they did. The first player yelled, demanding they not lie to them, clearly unable to believe such low-level players cleared a tough gate so fast. The system confirmed the clear for the Karakul Canyon 2-star gate, and the remaining time of 3:11:46 would now be added to the sky clock. The gigantic sky clock, visible worldwide, showed the time counting down to the world's potential end. All the players looked up at the sky clock, and the screen showed the current time remaining on day 286. The main character looked up at the massive display in the sky, which was called the sky clock. This sky clock was a huge thing everyone in the world could see, and it was said the world would end when the countdown hit 0. The only way to stop the world from ending was to clear the gate and add their remaining times to the clock. This made the main character realize why players had to keep fighting. The group of players were shocked they cleared it, especially since the recommended level for that gate was level 10 or higher, yet only 2 people, a level 1 and a level 8, managed it. The main character apologized to the player whose jacket got torn because of him, offering compensation. The angry player got startled by his sudden approach. When the main character offered to compensate him, the player immediately refused, insisting he could keep the tattered jacket. One of the other players brought up the earlier threat, asking the jacket owner if he still planned to kill the main character with his skill. The jacket owner quickly backtracked, laughing nervously and saying he was just joking, then urged everyone to leave. The other player hesitantly agreed. The remaining players quickly bowed, congratulating the main character and Amamiya on clearing the gate, and then left. The main character wondered what the whole scene was about. Amamiya explained that the other players were scared because of the main character's strength, which was shown when the gate cleared so fast. After the gate disappeared in a flash of red light, 2-star rewards floated down. Amamiya held up one of the stars and cheerfully asked the main character if he wanted to team up with her. She looked at him expectantly, calling him Miss Amamiya, but the main character looked thoughtful, starting to talk about the money from the clear. He asked if she wanted to redeem the rewards in her name, but she focused on the share split, making him question if she was listening to him. The girl got annoyed that he wasn't paying attention, while the main character was just relieved that after clearing the gate, he was back in a cafe, thinking about the rewards. He was lost in thought, but Amamiya brought him back to reality by asking sharply what they were going to do about the money. The main character assured her he was planning on sharing it with her later. Then, she coughed as she asked if Vanquish was his real name, as she suspected. She concluded that using a false name meant he didn't want anyone to know he cleared the gate. On top of that, she pointed out his amazing strength even though he was still only level 4. She asked him point blank what the hell he was. The main character looked a bit troubled by her direct question. Amamiya quickly corrected herself, saying she wasn't blaming him at all, and stood up from the table. She explained that after fighting with him, she could tell he was a good person who saved her life, and she wanted to keep clearing gates with him from now on, like comrades. She earnestly suggested they stick together, offering her help if he ever needed anything, though she admitted she might not always be reliable. The main character's eyes widened as he thought about the word comrades, recalling a painful memory. In his memory, he was tied up, and someone who looked like a monster was glaring down at him while his siblings smiled nearby, seemingly happy about his suffering. He recalled that it was the first time anyone had ever called him a comrade. Back in the cafe, the main character smiled genuinely, thanking her. Amamiya said that Miss Amamiya her had also helped him a lot, and if he let her work together with him, she would be very happy. She then introduced herself properly as Ariake Subaru, saying she would tell him everything that happened in the last 2 days, including Rainbow Door and the false murder accusation. The scene shifted to a sunset sky as Subaru continued his explanation. He mentioned the Rainbow Door, Vanquish, and the false murder charge, which made Amamiya realize his situation was way more complicated than she thought. Amamiya also mentioned she was confused about some things herself, and then realized that Subaru was Ariake Tega's older brother. She was furious, shouting in shock that Tega stole his door and became a gold rank, calling him an unforgivable bastard. Subaru laughed a little, clarifying that they were not related by blood, and then stated his goal was to get strong enough to defeat Tega since his life was on the line. He then revealed that his family also had 3 daughters who were all players. He explained that his big sister's and little sister's doors were silver rank, but his was only copper, and although the team started with the 3 of them, he was kicked out because he was a hindrance. Amamiya understood that was why he was striving for strength, and she asked if his goal wasn't similar to hers. Subaru agreed it was true, and Amamiya became excited, grabbing his attention. She then proposed they get stronger together, Subaru, and sealed the deal by offering a handshake. She added a serious vow, "Let's never betray nor abandon each other. How about that?" The main character looked stunned. He thought about how she promised not to betray or abandon him, and then enthusiastically agreed with a big "why yes." They shook hands, and Subaru said he looked forward to working with her, and since they seemed to be the same age, she suggested he could just call her Sayaka. Subaru agreed to try. The setting changed to the Player Federation headquarters, specifically the top floor's main conference room, where a star insignia was prominently displayed. Inside the room, 2 figures sat at a large table, one looking down, while the other was shown resting on a chair. One of the seated figures stated that they had restrained Tega, meaning he was currently under control. He continued, saying that now they were the only gold ranks who could take action for the moment. Another person, looking very stylish and relaxed, asked if having only 6 people was fine, even without that guy. The stylish one reminded the other that he had said he hated the absent person anyway because of his trashy attitude, to which the other person seemed to agree. However, the first speaker pointed out that aside from 4-star gates, only gold ranks could clear 5-star gates, and their number of personnel was insufficient for these high difficulty ones. He concluded they had no choice but to increase the number of work shifts until Tega's restraint was lifted, which made the stylish player react with surprise. The speaker then added that he would ask a silver rank team to help with the 5-star strategy. The stylish player questioned if he was sure about using silver ranks. It was noted that it might be possible if there were at least 10 people above level 30, and right now, there were exactly 7 5-star gates in Tokyo that needed quick clearing, shown on a map of Tokyo wards. For the strategy to clear the 5-star gate in Meguro City, the speaker announced he was leaving it to Team Julieta. A group of players, looking strong, were introduced as Team Julieta, the strongest silver rank team, with their leader, Izaki Julieta, being level 38. As the main character and Sayaka walked out of the building, the Julieta team members huddled together, looking intimidated by their presence. When the main character walked past, he accidentally bumped into one of the silver rank members, causing a chain reaction. The main character immediately apologized as the members stumbled from the impact. The leader, Julieta, simply scoffed but told the main character to be careful next time. Sayaka commented that those guys looked strong, and Subaru noted that Team Julieta was the strongest silver rank team, wondering where they were headed. The team members mumbled amongst themselves. Julieta decided it didn't matter to them, and they should redeem their current star and reserve the next gate, feeling confident since they already cleared a 2-star gate once. Sayaka asked about a 2-star gate, and the main character eagerly asked where it was located. Sayaka, smiling, showed him a map on her phone indicating the gate was in Meguro City. The view then shifted to a city area in the afternoon light. The scene focused on a building with a fiery red gate appearing in the distance, indicating a new challenge. The red, glitching gate stood tall, and the time displayed on its interface showed 17:43:18 remaining. As the 2-star symbol glowed, they entered the gate, which opened into a dark space with a strange, spiraling staircase descending into the void. The camera followed the long, winding staircase as it coiled down the dark rock face. The image showed the final loop of the staircase leading down to a display confirming the next challenge, Stage Soldier Dumping Ground, difficulty, 2 stars, with a remaining time of 17:39:27. A terrible scene unfolded with just the name Sayaka echoing in the darkness near a pool of red liquid. Subaru frantically held Sayaka, who looked pale and injured, with blood staining his clothes. Cursed in frustration as he realized the damage was severe. Sayaka's face showed pain, and Subaru realized with horror that her bleeding would not stop. Suddenly, Subaru's eyes lit up with a strange, multicolored glow, showing a fierce change in emotion. Filled with rage, Subaru unleashed a torrent of rainbow-colored power that engulfed him as he held the fallen Sayaka. A massive, sharp object, glowing red, descended rapidly. Subaru stood amidst the rainbow energy, looking down at Sayaka, the sound effects showing intense action. He vowed not to forgive whoever hurt her and continued to channel his power. With a fierce expression, he shouted that he would definitely kill the responsible party. The title card for the chapter appeared, showing the name of the series and creators. The scene flashed back, indicating that the current action happened 2 hours earlier. Subaru asked Sayaka if she could sense what was happening inside the Meguro City Gate, which was called the Soldier Dumping Ground and had a 2-star difficulty rating, pointing toward the spiraling structure. He explained that they could move freely in and out unless the entrance was locked from the inside, which was how the surveying players would bring back information. Subaru pointed out the huge spiral staircase inside the gate, and Sayaka seemed to understand. Sayaka looked down the narrow, winding staircase and asked if this terrain wasn't perfect for her skills. Subaru agreed and told her to go ahead and lock the entrance from the inside herself. He warned that once locked, the quest would start and enemies would begin to appear. Sayaka eagerly agreed and stepped forward as red digital effects indicated the locking mechanism. Confirmation screens popped up, lock confirmation, and the quest will start. Subaru, looking determined, told the enemies to come at him. Sayaka looked excited about the challenge, while below, the massive spiral staircase glowed faintly in the dark environment. Subaru noticed movement and realized that the enemies were appearing from the bottom of the stairs. He suddenly felt a powerful pressure, his appearance momentarily inverted to show his inner tension. Subaru quickly peered over the edge of the platform with a surprised look. He felt an intimidating presence coming from the lowest floor, wondering if the boss was already there. A group of armored skeletons appeared, surrounding Sayaka on the stairs. Sayaka seemed momentarily puzzled by the sudden appearance of so many foes. She observed the horde of skeletons closing in, commenting that this was a lot of enemies. Sayaka realized the sheer number of skeletons surrounding her and questioned if there were too many. A large, menacing skeleton with glowing eyes appeared right behind Sayaka, who reacted with shock. One skeleton attacked Sayaka from above while she was on the stairs. Subaru shouted out for Sayaka in alarm as she was being attacked. He reached out his hand desperately toward the danger. Sayaka managed to fend off an immediate attack with a determined look, even as she was being assaulted. Sayaka powerfully struck down one of the attacking skeletons on the stairs. She noted how close the fight was, but before she could finish her thought, Subaru yelled that the next enemy was coming. Subaru, tense, warned Sayaka that another wave of enemies was approaching. More skeletons attacked with weapons, and Sayaka had to defend herself quickly against incoming spears. Sayaka gritted her teeth, managing to counter the onslaught. She unleashed a powerful burst of pink energy, smashing through the attacking enemies. With the immediate threat handled, Sayaka thanked Subaru, looking happy and energetic. However, she noted that these enemies were at least level 10 or higher. Then, system messages confirmed the defeat of a level 10 skeleton spearman and a level 11 skeleton axeman. Subaru, with a slightly strained smile, brought up the rule that if they locked the gate, they couldn't leave until they cleared it. He concluded that they had only one choice left as the camera focused on the surrounding skeletons. Subaru declared that they had to finish them off no matter what, telling Sayaka to leave the defense to him. He told her to focus on reducing the number of enemies by herself. Sayaka agreed and landed a solid hit on an enemy. Subaru then observed the massive number of skeletons, noting the terrain was suitable for Sayaka's skills, but the sheer quantity was overwhelming. He felt the pressure growing stronger, much more intense than the goblin boss from their last encounter. The pressure from below was indeed increasing, reinforcing his bad feeling. The skeletons continued to attack fiercely, some being engulfed in yellow flames from their mouths. The intense fight continued with powerful impact effects. Subaru shouted Sayaka's name again as she seemed to be struggling slightly and covered in some blood. Subaru suggested that since there were so many enemies, it would be better for them to switch fighting roles alternately and tried to tell her to avoid exhausting herself. Sayaka looked confused, asking huh, and then playfully asked if he meant the opposite, suggesting they should be more aggressive. Subaru was shocked by her reaction, and Sayaka explained that if they leveled up inside the gate, their HP and MP would fully recover. She insisted that the correct way was to go all out until their level increased, with a bright, excited aura around her. Sayaka confirmed she had leveled up to level 10 and urged Subaru to use all his strength to defeat them at once, saying he didn't need to worry about his remaining MP. She winked, confirming her strategy. Subaru suddenly understood her logic, realizing why she was pushing so hard. He then unleashed his own powers, telling Sayaka to hit them with all she had. Sayaka charged forward with a fierce look, right into the blood-covered enemies. She let out a small surprise sound, seemingly facing unexpected danger. Subaru's blood-related skills, blood mold and derivation, were shown in action, affecting the enemies. His skill, Blood Tide, flowed down the spiral staircase structure like a giant red wave. Sayaka cried out, worried about Subaru's aggressive use of power, but he reminded her to wait a second. Subaru showed his low MP but insisted she didn't need to worry about it. He told her to use everything she had to defeat them all at once and commanded her to harden. Subaru was engulfed in his rainbow power while the blood tide swept through the skeletons, seemingly dissolving them. He shouted harden, as the blood tide overwhelmed the enemies, and below, his power was crushing the skeletons. Subaru roared with determination, his eyes blazing with rainbow light as he powered up his attack. The enemies were violently shattered by the impact of his strong move. Sayaka looked at the defeated enemies and complimented Subaru on having such an amazing skill, even as the remaining skeletons seemed to be breathing heavily. Subaru, catching his breath on the stairs, admitted that his massive attack wouldn't last long. Sayaka shouted okay. With great enthusiasm, she launched herself into the air, kicking through the remaining enemies amidst yellow explosions. The fight continued with powerful strikes against the red mass of enemies. More skeletons were destroyed by the intense fiery attacks. Sayaka celebrated another level up amidst the destruction. Multiple system notifications showed that Sayaka was leveling up repeatedly. Sayaka continued to fight and level up, reaching level 15 from level 10. Sayaka called out to Subaru, apologizing as she was ready to leave the rest of the fight to him. Subaru, seeing how much the enemy numbers had decreased, prepared his own overwhelming power, his hands glowing with multicolored energy. He expressed confidence that he could handle the rest of the fight. Subaru landed a devastating blow that shattered the remaining enemies. He focused on crushing and shattering all the remaining foes. Subaru was bathed in his rainbow aura, receiving multiple level-up notifications while enemies exploded in the red mass. Subaru, now level 16, stood on the staircase as the red tide effects cleared. The system confirmed Subaru had leveled up from level 9 to level 16, and he looked pleased with himself. Sayaka commented that Subaru was indeed as crazy as she expected, while he seemed satisfied. Sayaka observed that even the remaining enemies seemed scared of Subaru's power. A skeleton lunged at Sayaka, but she moved quickly to counter it. Sayaka decisively struck down the attacking skeleton with a powerful red energy attack. Subaru, who was moving up the stairs, warned her not to let her guard down. Sayaka looked concerned, apologizing as Subaru was currently entangled by red strands, possibly from the previous enemy or residual attack. Subaru reassured her that it was true that at this rate, they would reach the lowest floor and raise their levels quickly. As they moved up the spiral stairs, they encountered more imposing skeletons guarding the way. Subaru moved past the enemies, but he couldn't shake off a bad feeling. He couldn't get rid of the sensation of a looming threat. The intense, powerful pressure from below was becoming stronger and stronger. More level-up notifications flashed across the screen, suggesting rapid progress. The scene focused on Subaru's feet as he stood on the platform. A close-up on Subaru's shoe as they prepared to face what was coming next. Sayaka, now level 20, stood confidently on the spiral structure, while Subaru, level 19, looked up at her. Subaru looked serious as they both stood on the ancient-looking structure. They both walked forward into a large cavern where a massive, imposing figure shrouded in purple energy appeared, signaling the boss fight. A clear notification stated, "The boss has appeared," revealing the late Empress Judith, level 29, radiating immense purple power. Sayaka reacted with shock, realizing the identity of the intimidating presence she felt earlier was this very boss. A close-up on the boss, late Empress Judith, showing her skeletal face adorned with a dark crown and veil, her eyes glowing purple. Sayaka and Subaru stared at the high-level boss in front of them. The Empress unleashed a powerful attack, firing sharp, cyan-colored projectiles in a cross pattern surrounded by purple energy. Subaru watched the attack coming, his expression one of intense focus. The powerful purple energy attacks swept across the area, causing severe tremors. Sayaka looked stunned by the boss's power. The boss stood firm, surrounded by powerful purple aura. The boss attacked with a massive red whip-like extension that swept towards Subaru and Sayaka, forcing them to dodge. Subaru recognized the attack as a whip and explained how strong it was. The boss demonstrated incredible control, seemingly holding something like a rose in its hand as more purple energy surged. Subaru observed that the boss utilized wide area attacks with long distances and surreal trajectories. Sayaka leaned close to Subaru amidst the danger, saying she thought they were not compatible. The late Empress Judith stood imposing in her long purple robes and crown, radiating menace. Sayaka insisted that this boss fight was bad and expressed doubt about their compatibility. Subaru looked tense, trying to process the situation, realizing the immense threat. He admitted the powerful feeling he sensed earlier was definitely from this boss. The boss intensified her purple energy aura around her. Subaru looked up, realizing the source of the terrifying power he felt from the top floor was this current boss. A glitching sound effect signaled a system disruption or intense energy fluctuation. More system glitches flashed, while a piece of the destroyed spiral structure fell in the background. Subaru and Sayaka stood ready to face the powerful late Empress Judith, surrounded by intense visual glitches, signifying the difficulty of the upcoming confrontation.